Welcome back to Become a Calm Mama. I'm your host. I'm Darlene Childress. I'm a life and parenting coach. And on this episode, I am going to share my experience of dropping off my youngest child at college. I have two kids. They are 20 and 18. And last year, my older one, they're only one grade apart, even though they're 2 years apart, because sometimes when you have a kid with ADHD, they need an extra year in school to mature, right? So they're two years apart, one grade apart. So last year, I brought my son Lincoln to college, and we live in Southern California, and he went to school in Santa Barbara. And so I dropped him off last year. And now this year, I dropped my second child off at college, and he's also doing the same thing his brother did, and he's in Santa Barbara, and he's living in the dorms, and he's doing the whole thing just like Lincoln did. So Lincoln is my oldest one, Sawyer is my younger one, and as of last Tuesday, so this episode is coming out like a week later, none of my children live in my house anymore. So this summer, they were both here. It was very busy, lots of hustle bustle, a lot going on. They had friends, they had, traveling, like they were just around a lot and also really busy. So a lot going on. And then on a Friday afternoon, Lincoln left. He has an apartment. So he moved into his apartment. And then a couple of days later, I drove Sawyer and dropped him off at his dorm. And I want to share a little bit about the experience. And I noticed that as I've talked about this with a few people, that some moms start to feel like almost as I describe what I have gone through, kind of like, oh my God, like they kind of feel dread about this life stage that I'm going to talk about and this experience that I'm going to talk about. And I really don't want you to feel afraid or worried or like, you don't even have to put yourself in my shoes or imagine yourself going through this experience, especially if you have little ones like 4 and 5 or, even 7 or 8. Like you can't really imagine this experience. But for some of you listening to this podcast, you have high schoolers or you are already an empty nester, or like I'm calling it a roomier nester. And so this might really be helpful for you to kind of feel like you're not alone in this process and maybe understand a little bit of what you went through. So I say all that because I never want to put out an episode and then have you freak out. So, just listen as if you're listening to like a mentor talk to you about something that they went through, and you can just kind of put a little pin in your heart and in your head and be like, someday I'll listen to this episode again and like, I'll understand what she's talking about. Okay, so on the Tuesday morning, let me just say this. I did not know how I would feel. I was not in my big feelings necessarily. I was kind of avoiding packing Sawyer up, buying things. I could tell all summer that I was somewhat avoidant of what was coming, but I was also like, I did it last year. I know what to get. I'll just get the basics and it's fine. But I could also tell that I was really like procrastinating. And I noticed procrastination, there's always a wisdom to it, or there's an invitation to explore why you're procrastinating. So anytime I don't do something in the timeline that I would typically do it, or the timeline that I told myself I would do it, instead of judging myself and being like, oh my God, what's wrong with you? You're so lazy. Get your shit together. I usually get curious, like, hey, Darlene, why are you not doing that? Like, what are you resisting there? Or what is maybe your wisdom, your intuition telling you there? So I was procrastinating a little bit and noticed that I just really didn't want to think about him leaving. And so I knew there was some emotion, but I don't know, that like Lincoln left and then bippity boppity came home, gathered stuff. Like I was just in the practical parts of it. Okay. So Tuesday morning, we know we're going to leave like around 3 or 4 and drive to Santa Barbara. And I had physical therapy because, I had foot surgery not so long ago. So I went to physical therapy and I was grumpy in my physical therapy appointment. I could tell I was like testy and I was a little grumpy, and that's always interesting to me when I'm grumpy because I'm usually not. So I was a little curious. I'm like, I've got something going on. Then I leave and I get in the car, and all of a sudden I feel sick to my stomach. Like my stomach hurts and it feels I'm nervous or I'm anxious or I'm going to throw up. Like, I don't know what's going on. I just feel like this is how dread shows up for me, where I get sort of a heavy, like big punch in the stomach. Like my stomach aches, like it gets really tight. It hurts. And that was happening. And I was like, okay, I'm feeling something. Like it was like, I am feeling dread, if I could describe it. But what was interesting is that the emotion wasn't in my head. It was like in my body, like in my core, in the center of me was like tight and not feeling good. So I got home and I immediately started crying. Like I went in and my husband was in his office and he's like, "Hey, how was PT?" And I just, I don't know. I just like let go and I started to cry really hard. And I was like, today he's leaving. I don't even know if I said any words. I just felt like, it's not even sadness. Like I can't describe it besides saying dread. And then I had the Call Mama Club. We meet on Tuesdays at 9:30. If you want to join us, you're welcome. And I got on the call and just shared with the mamas what I was going through. And then I kind of got it together and I coached. We had an amazing session, talked about all the things that moms want to talk about. And then I got off the phone. I got off the Zoom with them. I, canceled, end the meeting, whatever. And then I don't have any other clients that day because I had cleared my schedule so that I could move Sawyer. And I just go numb. Like I just am not really thinking or feeling much. I'm just going through the motions. He has a couple errands to run. We pack up. He drives, and because he took a car with him, and I drove in his car, and my husband came up a little bit while later. And the whole drive, I can tell that my nervous system is on fire. Like I do not feel safe, and that is true whenever my kids drive. Really, I feel a lot of anxiety about them driving. But I was like on edge, and I was like, whoa! But it was very physiological. Like I was having like my breath was coming faster, and I just felt tight, and like I was sweating and stuff. So I'm having this experience. We get there, get him checked in, get his room key, move everything in. Place looks cute. We realized we don't have a lot. Like we brought everything we needed except one extension cord. And we had planned to meet up with my older son, Lincoln, meet up with my husband, and the two of us meet for sushi. We have a little tradition. So we were going to meet for sushi dinner, come back to Sawyer's place, and Kevin was going to come with me. And so we realize it's getting late. We meet at the restaurant. We pick up the extension cord from Target. I'm sharing all this, even though it's not that important, but sometimes people care about the details. And then we eat our sushi dinner, and it is getting a little bit late into the evening. It's like 7:30 or something. And Sawyer has a town hall meeting orientation thing that evening that starts like at 7:30 or something. So he's going to go back and go like start his dorm life. And there's not really a reason for us to go back with him because he's kind of all moved in. And so we say goodbye to him in front of the sushi restaurant, just on like the street, like, okay, hug, kiss, bye, good luck. And he gets in the car and he drives away. And I was just like, whoa, okay, that wasn't how I pictured it, but whatever, I guess he's fine. I didn't even take a picture of the dorm room. I really thought we were going back. So that was kind of odd. Anyway, Lincoln goes back to his apartment. We get in the car. We drive. I decide to drive because my husband had driven up. I was like, I'll drive. Bippity boppity, tick, chit, chat. I'm talking. Which, while with Lincoln, when he left, once we dropped him off and I got in the car, I could not speak for 40 minutes. I was like in shock. I was just like, I just stared out the window and I felt extremely sad. That was my feeling with my first leaving. And then with Sawyer, I didn't really have any feelings. Like I was like, well, that was weird. Okay, bye. I'm driving, chit chat, blah, 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 about, their apartments and the dorm and blah, blah, blah. Like kind of like really chatty. And then as we get off of the freeway, we're like exiting to our home. All of a sudden, my body starts to go haywire. I don't know how else to describe it. And not just my body, but my stomach. And I don't want to be too graphic here, but I don't know how else to talk about it. But it was like everything in my body turned to liquid. It was like my water was going to break or something. It was just like a overwhelming whooshy feeling in my stomach. And I'm driving and I'm like, oh my God, I don't know if I'm going to make it home because I feel like I'm going to like release my bowels, And Kevin was joking with me and I was like, oh my God, I don't know. And he's like, you got to make it, right? Like little kids. And then I pull in the garage, I get home and I proceed to release everything in my body. I spent the next 2 hours in the bathroom just letting go of everything inside of me. It felt like, I don't know how to describe it. It was like a physiological grief. My body released and let go of everything in it. It was as if I was emptying myself out. And I didn't really think about this till the next day, but like they call this the empty nest stage. And it was like my body was emptying itself. I did not have a lot of emotion in my head. Like a lot of times I'm thinking my thoughts and I'm thinking my feelings. But in this scenario, I was feeling in my body my experience and releasing and letting go and emptying everything out. I was joking. I was like, I guess my body took the assignment literally of like empty nest, like my nest in my belly, in my body was like emptying. Okay. I won't go into any more details. I promise. And that was surprising to me to have such a physiological reaction. It was a little bit of a shock, to be honest, because I really had not been feeling much. I was like, just okay. But apparently, the body never lies. The body keeps score. The body always tells the truth. We store all our stress in our bodies and our bodies communicate with us. And that was what was happening. And I had no choice but to be in the experience and to just lay in bed and back and forth and just letting go. Eventually, after a couple of hours, I was able to fall asleep. I woke up and I felt like someone had died. I was in deep, deep grief. I know what grief feels like. I've talked about it on this podcast because 3 people very, very close to me all died like 1 year apart of each other. And there's this very physiological experience I have when I am grieving. I get very tired, I get very achy, and I like take to my bed. I've got to go to sleep. I've got to lay down. I've just got to be cozy. I've got to be in bed. And because I have experienced that, I kind of understand that it's not forever and I need to listen to it. I can't fight it. I just give into it. And I trust the wisdom of my body and what it's telling me. And so I was like, oh my God, I got to get up and I had a little bit of work to do. So I got up, I did my day, and then I immediately got back into bed and I just was grieving. And it was like an existential grief. And here is what I was thinking about. I was thinking about how this departure, my youngest son moving out, my older son moving out, no one living in my house anymore, that this really marked the end of my motherhood years. And I know that that might be really hard for some of you to hear, that it's a season of your life and then it ends. Now, am I still a mom? Yes. Do they live close? Yes. Like, I get it. I know they didn't die, but in some identity, some role, some part of me and my existence is ended. It's over. I'll never have little kids again. I won't have kids in K through 12. They're adults. They're grown. And I am about to embark on the next stage of motherhood, the next journey, the next part of it. And in order to do that well, I have to grieve the end of this stage in order to create room, as I'm calling this stage, the roomier nest, not empty, but roomier. As I create room for the next relationship and room for what comes after this, I need to grieve and let go of what has already happened. That doesn't mean that I need to regret anything or change anything. Maybe I do have to reconcile some of the mistakes I've made. Maybe that's part of the grief process. But I know that I need to allow for this chapter of my life to come to a close. It's not the end of the book, but it is the end of this chapter. And it was beautiful. I loved raising kids. As hard as it is and how draining it is, the life experience of raising children changed me on such a deep level. I am not the same person I was at 29 when Lincoln was born. I'm no longer that person. I have used this opportunity of parenting to grow, to evaluate, to become aware, to heal. It's been a lifetime opportunity, really. I've loved it. And it's no longer the same. It's different and it's changing, and that's okay. It's okay for me to grieve and to let go and to empty out and to have sorrow while also holding hope for what's next. I can hold both things. I can be sad that something has ended while also being happy of the new thing that's coming. I can grieve my kids' little baby childhood selves while also loving their young adult self. Being able to hold those two tensions can be really confusing. We can oftentimes squish one emotion, we push it down and repress it in order to make space. I always think weaponizing gratitude, right? Using gratitude against yourself. I shouldn't feel bad because, or I shouldn't feel sad because they live so close, because they are so happy, because this is what's supposed to happen. I don't need to rationalize myself out of my experience. And you don't either. If your little one has gone to kindergarten and you're grieving preschool, grieve it. Yeah. They're not going to be that little. If you have a middle schooler and they don't want you to lay in bed with them anymore, it's okay to feel sad about that. It's okay to feel whatever you're feeling. And it's okay if your body decides to tell you what you're feeling, because that's what happened in my case. Now, I want to leave you with a couple of thoughts about what's next. What does it look like after this? Because I think we sometimes... if you're listening, you're like, that's so sad. I want to say, no, I have so much hope about what I'm creating. There is so much room. It's roomier now. I have more time and energy and capacity to love my children and love myself at deeper levels. And I've been thinking a lot about this experience of motherhood. And I've been using the analogy of being at the game. Right? Being at the game of their life, and how when they're real little, you're on the court, really, you're pick up the ball, throw it this way. You're really, really involved when they're super little, 1 to 6 or whatever. And then slowly you start to just kind of watch what they're doing, but you're really close. You're in the front seat, you're in the front of the front row. You have a front row view of your child growing and developing, and it's beautiful. And every year as they get older and older, you move back a row of those bleachers. And when they're teenagers, you're at the bleachers, the nosebleeds. And really, it kind of feels like your nose is going to bleed all the time because it's just so stressful. But You're in the nosebleed section. Like you're there, but you're not really that close. And you can't really be like, yelling at them from the sideline. Like you're further back. And now as with young adults, I feel as if I'm no longer at the game. I'm not in the gymnasium anymore. I'm not watching the game. I don't have like tickets to it, right? I don't get to see it. Sometimes I get invited, I get a VIP box and I get to watch something that they're doing or participate in part of their lives. But for the most part, I'm getting the highlights reel, right? I'm getting the recap. I'm getting the synopsis of what happened because I wasn't there. And that's fine. I love it. I love hearing their stories. I love them telling me what's going on in their lives. It's beautiful. And that is why we do what we do, why we put in the time, why we parent the way we parent, because we want our kids to want to tell us what's been going on in their life. We want the highlights reel, right? We want the story. We want them to tell us their experience of playing that game. And I realized that that's not all I want, actually, in this next stage of parenting. I want them to come to me before they play the game and say, hey, this is my strategy. This is what I'm thinking. Here's where I'm at. Here's the decisions I'm going to make. What do you think? You got any input? Or just as a sounding board. We're moving away from parenting and into mentoring. And allowing that to be created means that I have to step back further and further. I have to grieve my sadness. I have to let go. I have to be okay with the change and the transformation and the transition that we are experiencing so that I can create space for what is next. And this is what I want. This is what I think that we're all here. We're not just getting our kids launched into adulthood, into career or college or whatever it is. That's not enough, really, because we don't want our kids to just grow up and like feel disconnected from them. That's the whole, like what we all want. We want them to like have a relationship with us when they're grown. So what is that relationship? What I'm seeing it as, what I want to create, I want the highlights reel. I want the recap, right? And I want to do the pregame, not the drinking type of pregame, but I want to pregame with them. What's going on? What's your plan? What are you thinking? What decisions are you going to make? What is it? I'll tell you a simple little funny thing that happened at that sushi dinner with Lincoln and Sawyer and Kevin and I. So Sawyer, I think, was in his own world because he had like moved into the dorm. Now he's at dinner with his family and now he's going back. And I think he was just kind of like, he just ate a bunch of sushi and was kind of quiet. But Lincoln, he had already moved into his apartment and we hadn't really talked to him. So he says, hey, Mom, I want to run something by you. Oh, mamas. That was music to my ears. That's when I realized like that is what I want. I want, hey, Mom, I want to run something by you. I want to get your input on this. I want to hear your opinion on this. That's the pregame. That's the, hey, let's talk it through. I want to be part of the strategy. Not like me do it. I want them to come up with strategy and just run it by me. I want to be the mentor. So he's like, Mom, I want to run something by you. And this is what made me, I'm laughing because this is what he offered to me. He said, hey, so his apartment has a little patio when he has 3 roommates. So there's 4 of them in a 2-bedroom apartment. He says, Mom, we can get a hot tub on Facebook Marketplace for free. All we have to do is move it. What do you think? You think we should get a hot tub and put it on our patio? I was like, well, as your guarantor of your apartment, I'm going to say no. I don't think that's a good idea. And so he was laughing. He was also saying like they hadn't done their dishes. I'm like, you just said you haven't done your dishes yet. How do you think you're going to manage a hot tub? So it was really funny. It was a silly example, but it really, him just saying, hey, I want to run something by you. I was like, oh, yes, this is where we're headed here. This is what we're doing. This is why I've worked so hard. And yes, I'm grieving. Yes, my stomach is in knots and I'm, definitely very, very, very tired. It's like 20 years of fatigue is all hitting me at one time. I have been in it physically and my heart has been so full so full of love and hope and excitement for them. It's like my belly is upset, but my heart is full. So I wanted to give you that story and help you see that there's life on the other side and of motherhood of any stage you're at, and that you're going to grieve these stages as you go through them, and that's okay, and that the next best thing is also right around the corner. So if this spoke to you, please let me know. Share it with your friends. Connect with me on Instagram. Reply to the email if you're on my email list. Tell me what your thoughts were. And I love to hear from you so much. It makes my day. And if you want to work with me at all, of course, you can join Calm Mama Club and we can talk about where you're at in your life stage or book a consultation with me. So I'm just going to leave you with that story, and thanks for listening, and thanks for being just an amazing podcast audience. I just feel so loved and bolstered by all of you, and I know that you're learning so much from the podcast, and I appreciate whenever you tell me that you shared it or you found it from a friend. It just makes me so happy. So thanks for listening, and I will talk to you next time. Hey mama, if you enjoyed this podcast episode, I want to encourage you to do two things. The first is go to my website, calmmamacoaching.com, and get a copy of the Stop Yelling cheat sheet. You'll get a step-by-step breakdown of the most important tool I teach, which is the pause break. And you'll also get 40 ideas to reset your body and balance your nervous system so you don't have to yell at your kids. You can get a copy of that, again, at my website, calmmamacoaching.com/stop yelling. The other thing I'd love for you to do is go to Apple Podcasts and rate and review this podcast so that other moms can discover empowering and helpful, practical parenting strategies just like you did today. Thanks so much for listening to the podcast. It means a lot to be in your ear every week and to support you on your parenting journey.